just don't get it. It's like there's something in the soil this year.
EP06.
Envoy, got a situation over here. Oh, good. You came over. Glad to see you're up and about.
For fuck's sake, can we move this along? I don't have all day.
The same thing we deal with every day. Most of us are off searching for the ones who attacked you. That leaves us short-handed, so people like her try to sneak in. I caught this one, but I have to check her cart for contraband. There's a lot to dig through. Find anything? I knew you were hiding something. You'd better have an ironclad explanation for this.
I don't know anything. Someone's trying to set me up.
Thanks for the help, Envoy. I think I can handle it from here.
Someone went to a lot of trouble to make sure that wouldn't be found.
An interesting day so far. An interesting day indeed. Well, I'll be chomped by a Zarep queen. You're that godlike from the docks. I can't believe my luck. Nothing all year, and then boom, interesting strangers just falling out of the sky. Indeed, a young dwarf and his crew stopped by. Seemed agitated, like they were afraid of someone. They were asking all sorts of people. Seems like I was the only one willing to really speak to them. They were asking where they could find luminous Ardra, of all things. Can't imagine what they'd needed it for. I said they were most likely out of luck, but I might know somewhere they might find some if they looked hard enough. Well, well, you've done your reading. You're exactly right. Not long ago, a group of animancers looked to carry out some experiments into teleportation. They carried their instruments and a healthy supply of luminous adra to the island of Castel's Folly. It's possible there's some still there. Oh, I'm afraid not. No, those people were never seen again. That's why I think their adra might still be there. Question, why are you looking for those sailors? Did the Valian captain send you? I don't know much, but one of the smugglers whispered the name Captain Bardato and spit on the ground. The name sounded Valian to me. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Oh no. I imagine a Valian sea captain knows better than to spend time among all these Aderan soldiers. The folks you're looking for are probably getting themselves killed searching for Adra that probably isn't there. I can tell you wouldn't listen to me if I warned you not to go to Castel's Folly, so I wish you luck.
Sometimes we get more contraband coming through here than honest goods.
Wish that Sawbones would hurry up. Wow, it's really you. I mean, we all heard the Emperor sent a godlike, but I didn't never think I'd get to meet you. You are the envoy, aren't you? I bow, but I think I dislocated my shoulder, and I might have broken some ribs. My brother, Cadman, and I ran into some trouble exploring a temple north of the city. Bears and traps and guards. What else? The floor collapsed from under us. He couldn't walk too well, and yet our captain wanted to keep going, so he sent me back for help. We're with a team from the Free Expedition Corps. We've seen a lot, but no place like this. I fear for their lives, Envoy. It's built on ruins, and the ruins are falling apart. Because of the roots, you know, and the earthquakes. We're looking for the man who built the temple, someone the locals call the Oracle. He's well, he's like you, a godlike. All the gods but one, I guess. Because this Oracle, he belongs to Aethys. And if the rumors are true, he's the very last of his kind.
Take it from me. Around here, the rumors always have some truth to them.
We just want to talk to him. That's why we went down there. Now my brother's hurt, and my team's in danger, and I'm stuck here and...
Take it easy, kid.
Sorry. Everyone at the embassy's too busy to help me, and I'm worried sick.
Not much. He doesn't get out often. But I've heard he's hundreds of years old and only speaks to godlikes. So, he probably hasn't seen much company in a while. Can't say I blame him. People still fault Aethys for the Saints' War, and that was 25 years ago. If I were the earthly avatar of everyone's least favorite god, I'd go into hiding too.
If nobody wants him here, then he should leave. This Oracle, he set himself up in a godless ruin. Turned it into a temple to Aethys, right? Supposedly, he built the whole place up just to house a holy relic. A bone from Aethys' Titan. Exactly. But how do you know about that? I don't remember seeing you at one of our lectures. I didn't think anyone read those. I used to haunt those stacks as a first year. Before I got recruited to expeditions, I mean. Eora, our captain, she believes these Titan skeletons are what's left of the gods' physical bodies. They used to get up and walk around. And this godlike, he's got a piece of the one that belonged to Aethys. That's what my team is down there to confirm, anyway. Well, if that relic really is what it's said to be, and if it can heal the sick like it's said to do, it can't stay here. Not in some dank hole in this mouldering backwater. Not when it can help our people with the Dream Scourge. Or help people back home who deserve it more. And yet is determined to get that relic, no matter the risks. The rewards are just too great.
But
Envoy, I'm afraid it's a lie. And they're all going to die down there for nothing. Gods, do you mean it? I can't thank you enough. They descended into the temple through a route off the Pilgrim's Path, just north of the city. You'll know you're headed the right way when you see trail markers and rock stacks the Pilgrims left behind. We posted a guard out front, Sedgwin. Let her know I sent you, and she'll let you pass. Especially my brother, Cadman. Don't forget him. You'll probably find the expedition with the relic we were searching for. Whatever that is. Thank you for hearing me out, Envoy.
You died. But you're here. Gods, am I glad to see you. I'll keep trying. But there's not much to be done for Fort Northreach.
Envoy, hello. I'm glad to see you on your feet. Kai.
Tej,
I'm surprised they let you in here.
I'm surprised you're still gainfully employed.
It's nothing like that. You run into all sorts of characters around here, is all. Some more polite than others. I didn't mean anything by it, Envoy. He's just curious company for you to keep.
Hey, somebody has to have the envoys back, because you all sure didn't.
No one expected the Envoy to get assassinated.
Exactly. Amateurs. Well,
Kai?
come on, it's funny. Tej caused a ruckus last time he was slumming it at the Ballarrock. You were trying to kill a man, if I remember right. I had to put you outside.
You threw me into the canal.
You lived.
That water's filthy. I had the runs for 3 days.
Gods, Tej. The envoy doesn't need to know that.
The fellow cheated me. I couldn't let that slide. Or he'd think we were all marks.
It was over a dice game, right? Tej here has a gambling problem.
Great. Let's air all my troubles. Is there anything else?
The bartender sleeping with your girlfriend.
You're lying.
You sure about that?
We'll talk about this later.
I'm not breaking up with her for you. Just so we're clear.
That's more than enough. Thank you. Was there anything I could help you with, Envoy? Naturally, sir. How can I help you? What would you like to know? If you're looking for a particular year, the first thing you should know about Paradise is that this isn't the kind of place where the locals keep records. And though it might be considered a distant backwater by the rest of the world, this city is the height of civilization by the standards of the living lands. As for who calls this place home, I suspect you could find a criminal, confidence man, or prophet from every civilization in the world here.
Hey, come on. You're gonna give the envoy the wrong idea. We've got draft dodgers, courtesans, and revolutionaries, too. You know, all the fun people.
In any event, as far as I can tell, Paradise has been this way since its inception. Thus the eclectic display of architectural styles. If nothing else, this city is a reflection of the countless people who have passed through it on their way to the interior. Depends on who you ask. Ambassador Heelgard will tell you that our remit here is to establish a secure and orderly environment from which to engage in trade. Inquisitor Liudwin will tell you we're here to break the frontier.
So, which is it?
Why not both? That's where you come in. Whether you find your desires aligning with the ambassadors or the inquisitors, neither can succeed until the Dream Scourge is ended. We are only beginning to see its effects here in Dawnshore, but the closer to the center of the island you go, the worse it gets. That bear you and the ambassador encountered in the Strangle Route isn't even the worst of it. And the tide of this soul plague is rising higher every day. Look, for all that I complain about this backwater, there are good people here. Same as anywhere else. People who want to be able to walk to the market in the morning for their bread and eggs and know they won't be mugged. People who like it when the mail comes on time, and their skates are made from real copper, and their neighborhood peeping Tom ends up in the stocks. Those people, good and honest people, who pay their debts and honor their contracts and remember to thank the gods, they like us a lot. The Resistance, as such, are largely a group of misfits and criminals intent on undermining the rule of law. They take out loans with small Aediran banking houses and do not pay them, then assault the bankers who attempt to collect. They agree to contracts with families in Adir seeking homes, and when their ships arrive, promptly abandon them. When we levy a small tax to fund the repair of city roads, they set our counting house on fire. And when our fishermen return to port, they board their ships and sink them.
That's certainly one way to characterize them. It's not exactly wrong, but it's not exactly right either.
For decades, people like them ruled this city through fear. We imposed order, and now they oppose us. You, unfortunately, were caught in the crossfire. I'm an open book. There's a lot of ground to cover. Could you be more specific? Ah, the age-old question. Who's bigger? Adir is, naturally, by a wide margin. And were we at the Cartographers Guild in High Crown, I could show you on one of their globes. As it is, we must make do in the theater of our minds. The Living Lands are located in the far north of Eora. Adir is southwest of the Living Lands, situated along the equator. The Living Lands are more arid than Adir, and the island is more prone to storms. But its many deep valleys protect the various townships from the worst of the weather. Topographically speaking, the Living Lands are a place of extremes. Deep inland, mountains rise high enough to rival those of the White March, blanketed year-round in snow. While east of the volcano of Mount Forja is an acid sea that sinks far below the level of the ocean. The lands between them are riven with deep clefts in the earth and isolated by wastelands of sun-baked sand dunes. I'll share what I can. There is no singular authority in the Living Lands.
Not yet, anyway.
I shudder to think what the Living Lands would look like under your rule.
Well, to start, there'd be a lot more brothels.
Charming. Power is invested in the leaders of the various townships scattered across the island. The largest are Fjord, Thirdborn, and Solace. None of which, I will note, are as safe and orderly as Paradise. Fjord Messeverno is located in a valley known locally as the Emerald Stair, named for the terraced rice paddies that cover its hillsides. It is our closest neighbor. The city, if you can call it that, was founded 50 years ago by animancers from the Valian Republics. Apparently, the laws governing animancy weren't lenient enough in the Republics. So the city's founders came to the Living Lands, where they could practice their discipline more freely. Currently, Fjord is governed by a man named Ignacy Vidaro. Rather inept to hear the ambassador talk about him. Fjord's farmers supply most of the grain and vegetables we eat here in Paradise. Or it did. Their shipments have been infrequent lately. Something about a blight in the fields. In any event, I believe that covers Fjord. The Valian Republics are a collection of city-states in the Eastern Reach, southeast of our former colony, the Deerwood. The Republics began life as colonies of the Grand Empire of Valia, hence the name. But as Grand Valia's economy collapsed, well, the colonies saw an opportunity to escape the influence of the Empire of Origin, and they seceded, much as the Deerwood did from Adir. Now a mature confederation in their own right, the Republics have recently indulged their own expansionist ambitions in the Deadfire Archipelago. Through their merchants in the Valian Trading Company, the Republics will sell you anything you could ever wish to buy.
Up to and including people.
We should count ourselves lucky to have had no interest in the Living Lands. In a struggle between our Emperor and the Republic's great dukes, well, I doubt we would come out on top. But if anyone asks, I was not the one who told you that. Everything you need to know about Thirdborn is in its name. It was founded by the third-born children of Rawatai, Navy dropouts, smugglers, and hands for hire. Almawa and Orleans, mostly.
Home, sweet home.
You're free to go back any time you like.
I like my current circumstances just fine, thanks.
They are a people, in short, who couldn't cut it in the civilized world, and had to make room on the margins. Unfortunately, they are currently besieged by the Dream Scourge. We have sent some troops to lend what help we can, and the mayor, Temerity, was appropriately grateful, but I don't know how long they'll hold out. Rawatai is one of the old empires, every bit as storied as Grand Valia or our native Adir. If Adir is to the southwest of the Living Lands, Rawatai is to the southeast. And unlike our home, their small continent is racked by terrible storms. This is due, or rather, was due, to the island's proximity to Andra's mortar, the unending super hurricane that once hid the ancient city of Ukaizo. Rawatai is largely peopled by Almawa, descended from those who fled the Deadfire Archipelago centuries ago, when Andra pulled the moon, Ioni Brather, into the sea. They are an aggressive, militant culture, and personally, I find their obsession with gunpowder rather quaint. They are also our chief rivals on the world stage.
I don't think they see it that way.
No?
Well, as far as Navy brass is concerned, Adir doesn't really rate.
Now you're just making things up.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we don't think about you at all.
Solace is, what is there to say, really?
Yeah, they tend to have that effect on people.
The trouble is, I don't know much about Solace. Nobody does. They are an isolationist community of Pagrunan dwarves who live in the forbidding ways of Galawain's tusks. They don't let outsiders into their lands, and they don't let their people out of them.
Some folks get out from time to time, but they can't ever go back. And the ones who survive aren't eager to talk about their experiences.
People aside, the land itself is incredibly hostile. The island's volcano, Mount Forja, rests at the heart of the region, and it's recently become active. Half the land is lava rock, and the other half is, well, literally lava. I don't know why anyone lives there. I have to assume they're all insane.
You have no idea.
Naturally. The Pargrunen are a unique community of mountain dwarves originating in Old Valia. As a people, they've made their name as explorers, builders, miners. No doubt you've seen their ruins in your travels, here, back home in Adir, and all across the world. They maintain a rich tradition of oral storytelling, chanted magics, and ritual carving, which they take great pains to record and transmit across their various communities. Even the most physically isolated Pargrun is not alone. Somewhere, one of their people is thinking of them and planning an expedition. Abidan must cherish them.
You sound like you admire them.
I suppose I do. Of course. Consider yourself lucky. Inquisitor Ludwine is the commander of the Steel Garrote in Paradise. Were you to ask her, she'd say she keeps the peace. But she doesn't keep it so much as prosecute it. As ruthlessly as the ambassador will let her. She's also a veteran of the Steel Garrote's campaign in the Deathfire, where she died.
She's a Death Guard. Well, that explains a lot.
I don't know what happened to her there, but I suppose Wodaka wasn't done with her yet. Cryptic Neil! I remember him fondly. I took every upper-level course the university offered on memory and recall to circumvent the Walian glamour on him. And even then, it only barely worked. I had to look at him out of the corner of my eye and half cross them while thinking of something dreadfully boring like, grimoire repair. On the upside, it's made me an exceptional clerk. But that's neither here nor there. We were discussing Death Guards. Death Guards are surpassingly rare. Some of the secretaries who traveled with our dignitaries in the Deathfire spoke of one named Iser, a devotee of Berith, who guards the hanging sepulchres there. But I have heard of none others except those I've read about in the histories. They are people, most often paladins or priests, so devoted to a cause that they simply refuse to pass on to the wheel when they die. Their soul haunts their body. The passion required to sustain them devours their flesh, and they swiftly turn to bone. I've never read a history nor tale of a death guard that did not end with them going quite mad. When they lose their capacity to care for anything but their cause, they cannot love. And when they cannot love, they cannot be merciful. And so everything before them becomes only an obstacle. I only met her once. She was a mid-level member of the Steel Garrote then, chasing oathbreakers who'd fled Adiran law. She'd come back to the Imperial Archives to borrow a map to a place called Oathbinder's Sanctum. I remember she was furious because the map was quite poor. She worried about finding the place, about properly executing her duty to her god. She wanted, I think, to do a good job. So, while clearly she has changed, in some sense, I'd say she's much the same. Think upon your promises and die. That's the litany of the Steel Garrote, usually said right before they kill you. They're an order of paladins born and bred in Adir, though clearly they've found plenty of work beyond our borders. Their remit is simple but comprehensive. They punish all who break their oaths. In practice, that has historically meant contracts. One lord or merchant will hire the Steel Garrote to bring a duplicitous rival to justice.
Fun bunch. What are they doing in Paradise?
Since the events in the Deathfire, their operations have expanded. The Steel Garrote has always been associated with Wodaka. Now, they are explicitly her order. And they go wherever Wurka's priests, or Wurka herself, believes there is a need for them to go. The Living Lands are a dangerous, lawless frontier in sore need of order. Thus, they are here. Or so the Steel Garrote say. Do you think so? I've always found her inflexibility comforting. Boudica's edicts are clear. If you obey her laws, pursue justice, punish the guilty, and give fealty to the Emperor, then you have pleased her, and I aim to please. But Boudica does not trust. She demands that you declare yourself for her again and again. Her every request is a test, and her every test is an opportunity to disappoint her. I appreciate a god who makes you work for their grace. I don't want anything given to me for free. By all means. I trust whomever told you to consult a watcher also told you to avoid the one in the city. She is a liar and a thief.
Oh, did she take your money?
No. Anyway, watchers are individuals capable of perceiving souls. The soul may be in a living body, or it may simply be lingering, waiting to pass into the in-between. In either case, interacting with a soul allows a watcher to glimpse a person's past lives or their most deeply buried memories. Watchers are incredibly rare, and in Adir, highly controlled. Many people wish to know who they were in a previous life, and do not like what they learn. The smart ones stay hidden. They do not announce their powers, perhaps not even to themselves. Even a careful watcher risks inadvertently revealing themselves by knowing something they shouldn't know. Of the ones that are public, little is concretely known. But we hear things. They make good judges in Wurka's courts, so long as they're controlled. The lords, it's rumored, buy and sell them to collect blackmail on their enemies. But I suspect many watchers are imprisoned or executed, or simply kill themselves. A watcher doesn't need your cooperation or consent to read your soul. They could learn everything about you, terribly damaging things about your parentage, for example, or things you did in a past life, without you ever knowing. You see how this could threaten the established order, undermine our betters' right to rule.
Yeah, but that's just one side to it. Imagine how a watcher feels, knowing what a threat they are to the status quo. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be keen on kings and emperors wanting me dead. Sounds like a lot of hassle.
Don't sell yourself short, Kai. I don't doubt you're an expert in people wanting you dead.
You're not wrong.
I rarely am, in any case. The Watcher is fundamentally a tragic figure. Of the few that survive our world, most are destined to go mad. Yes and no. So far as I understand it, a Watcher is born a Watcher. But it takes an event, often something shocking or traumatic, to bring a Watcher's powers to the fore. So you may be a Watcher, or I may be, or Kai, and we might not even know.
Well, the Watcher of Cadnua is legendary. It was their castle Aethys destroyed when he began his campaign of terror in the Dead Fire. Oh, by the Queen, I hope I get to meet them someday. In terms of local interest, you'll have heard of Runid, of course. And there was Ida. You may not know about her. She was a Watcher from the Living Lands. I believe she was an Orlan. She must have died, 150 years ago. Slain by a great serpent, gods treat kindly with her soul. Doubtless there are others, but most don't meet a good end.
I don't think so.
The Envoy is right. You're basically a Watcher encyclopedia.
Why should a secretary be limited to knowledge of filing systems and how the ambassador takes his tea? I was a boy once. Watchers were a special interest of mine when I was young.
He sounds defensive to me. Does he sound defensive to you, Envoy?
I am not a Watcher.
Exactly what a Watcher would say.
Both of you, please, your fun puts me at tremendous risk. This isn't a subject the Inquisitor takes lightly.
All right, all right. I know you're not a watcher, Teach. You'd be better at dice.
Apology accepted. Of course. Off freak. I did. Terrible shame what happened to his brother. It sounds like his injuries were severe. I saw you two talking. I hope you can help him, Envoy. I don't mean to twist your arm, but don't delay too long. There have been earthquakes in the region lately. Floods, cave-ins. Gods know what else is possible down in that cave. You're the only one we have with the expertise for that kind of field work.
Aside from the people in trouble down there, which says something to the danger in that cave.
Whatever I think of the Expeditions Corps, they serve a vital purpose to the Empire. I'm glad it's you going after them. Well, you'll notice I'm nearly always here. If that man sleeps, I don't know about it. He wouldn't say, but I believe he relied on the Claviger far more than he lets on. And without the Claviger's steady hand at the rudder, the ambassador's struggling just to bail water from the sinking ship that is Paradise.
Claviger Amon might have tolerated a little more chaos than the ambassador liked, but he kept this place humming. He's not someone you can easily replace, and not with one man alone.
It's a difficult job. The pressure sometimes gets the better of him. But if he loses his temper now and then, I can't blame him for it. Better him than me. He doesn't know what to do with himself. You know, in our first days here, he'd often walk to the end of the docks at sunrise. The work was done, the embassy was closed, and he'd still be wearing the same clothes he'd slept in at his desk. And he'd just stare out over the sea. He always seemed dissatisfied back then. I suppose, years later, he still does. Be serious. Most of us here didn't get sent to the frontier because we were anybody's favorite. The longer I'm here, the more likely the people who matter are to forget me. And I'd actually like to get back to High Crown someday. Get married, have a few kids, take the civil exams, and settle into a permanent clerkship.
I guess there are worse ways to spend a life.
Like rotting in this embassy. By all means. Should you ever need me, I will be here. Safe travels, Envoy.
Envoy, is it really you? I can't believe you're alive. When they dragged you to Liviana's clinic, I assumed the worst. How do you feel? Homesick already? After what you've been through, I can't say I blame you. But there's work to be done on the frontier. Good work, and I need you here at my side. Our first order of business is your purpose here in the Living Lands. You said you had a missive for me from the Emperor? Very good. I'm eager to see what our Emperor intends. Now, His Majesty names you a loyal servant of the Adiran Empire, and an extension of the throne's authority. Thank goodness. At least someone understands the gravity of our situation. With that, I have better news for him. You've seen how wild the Living Lands has become, both in nature and in politics. Sometimes I think the island has a mind of its own. No sooner had you arrived than you found yourself at the center of our troubles. Well, not to mention your abrupt and untimely death. This embassy has no shortage of political foes, but the Dream Scourge is what keeps me up at night. You've seen firsthand what it can do in nature. We can't let it reach the cities. Thank you, Envoy. The island is in capable hands. Inquisitor Ludwig thinks the plague is a distraction. She's more concerned about these local rebels fighting against the Empire. Your instincts do you credit. They were paradisans once, law-abiding laborers. Now, they're fugitives and oath-breakers hiding amongst the populace. They've sabotaged our work, killed our soldiers, and the final straw, attacked you out in the open. Something about a labor dispute gone wrong, I think. The Steel Garrote got involved, and it turned quite ugly.
A lot of disputes arise because people here have a strong aversion to being told what to do.
I won't lie to you, Envoy. Our position is tenuous. If we can't even defend ourselves, how are we to defend the Living Lands? But defend it we must, for the sake of everyone who calls this island home. Inquisitor Ludwig demands that someone hang for the attempt on your life. These Paradisan rebels must face justice. Ludwig goes where she likes, haunting the Living Lands like a vengeful spirit. She'll reappear when she chooses, and not a moment sooner. Let's make sure to give her some good news for a change.
Not many get a chance to solve their own murder, you know. I know someone who could help. A dwarven tracker named Marius. Kith or beast, there's little he can't find. He's staying at the Grinning Ballarrock, not far from Liviana's infirmary. We just take the main road east to the market, then head down the stairs and cross the canal. Rough part of town, even by the standards of Paradise. I can tell you're skeptical, but remember that you're an outsider here, and a lot of Kith aren't exactly thrilled to see so many Adirans in their midst.
New weeds, a new beast in the tall grass. Predator or mate?
As you've seen firsthand. You could use some local help, especially if we really are after Paradisans.
I suggest you recruit as many allies as you can, but choose carefully. They, like you, will represent the Empire. But before we can send you off to parts unknown, we need assurances from the local healer that you're fully recovered. After all, you survived a brush with death. The health of your body is one thing, the health of your soul is another. I'm sure that a scholar of your prestige is more than capable of self-diagnosis, but time is of the essence. Remember, the assassin is out there. You have the element of surprise. I suggest you use it. You'll have tales aplenty, that's for certain. And a long tapestry of battle scars. We'll talk more of the Dream Scourge when you return. Until then, Envoy.
How about we start with Marius at the Grinning Balrog? Besides, I could use a drink after all this.
Still can't believe you're alive.
Guess Adiran discipline doesn't apply to pesca.
Oh, nice shot! I was just getting warmed up. You got? I don't think the new home.
Walk in, give her the letter, and go. You don't have to say anything. The letter will do the talking for you. Sort of. Maybe you can help. I was seeing this girl, Nasha, down at the bathhouse. I'm sure it was just business at first, but we fell in love. I haven't been in a while, though. And the thing is, I've met someone else. I know. It's the least she deserves. I wrote her a letter, but I'm too cowardly to deliver it. If you're headed that way, would you mind giving it to her? Thank you. I used to wonder why no one talked about this. Now I understand. Nasha should be working right now. The place is called the Mermaid's Den. It's the big one with the balcony and the round window.
Aim where? Let's see what you got. That's one for us.
Listen, this is something I never thought I'd have to ask, but can we talk about you coming back from the dead? Let's talk. As if Barrett didn't just drag you out of the grave. By the time I got you to Liviana's, I don't think you had a pulse. You certainly weren't breathing. You must have spent 20 minutes as a corpse on one of her cots before you just came back. What did you see while you were gone? What do you remember? Watchers say souls can linger between this world and the beyond for a time. That makes sense. I've seen Runid talk to them a few times, almost in a trance. What happened next? The beyond. That's the realm of the gods, of souls. Well, that sounds kinda nice. What did you see there? Wait, someone? Who was it, or what was it? Well, that's good. Imagine how much worse this would be if you had two cryptic entities clamoring for your attention. So, someone is reaching out to you from the beyond. They saved you from death, and now they want you to free them from wherever they are. Do you trust them? That's wise. Well, even in the land of the strange, you have had the strangest experience I've ever heard of, and you haven't even left Dawnshore. That's quite a feat. Me neither. So, this whole time you were in the beyond, and then you were just sent back. Do you think there's a way to bring people back from the dead? That doesn't stop them from trying, I guess. Still, thanks for humoring me. By the way, now that we've gotten to know each other, let me know if you want to train together. I've been watching your form, and I think we could learn from one another. Rebellion's more like our natural state of being in the living lands. People on the island don't much like being told what to do. In fact, many come here specifically for that reason. And the Stilgar Road. Ludwine and her paladins have been busy in the hinterlands. It's all rumor and speculation, but I don't think they're making your cause any friends. They say she's hunting down so-called agitators, flattening entire settlements that stand in her way. Of course, all the news reaching Paradis is jumbled together. Stories about the Dream Scourge, the Stilgar Road, and the weird happenings that are almost commonplace around here. So it's hard to say what's true. If they're here under your banner, people will see their actions as representing you. I think you're right. I don't know that these rebels are all that organized yet. But where there's foam, there's rocks, as the saying goes. Yeah, I've watched your form as I've gotten to know you, and it's excellent. You're smaller than I am, but I picked up a few tricks from seeing the way you move on the battlefield. I'm happy to return the favor if there's anything I can teach you. I've noticed. That's it. You got the hang of it. I look forward to seeing what you can do when we get back out there tomorrow. In the meantime, get some rest.
The wood echoes, strangled suffering. We knew this creature. The Andra hums beneath the moon. The bear, the rot in the heart. Did its beauty sing to you? Death to life. Does life not glisten like a stream? What gleams cannot be a monster? We wish you had not killed it. Cull the sickness, clear the rot, kill one to save the other. Still. Violets and the stars, we wish for both. Earth into rebirth, growth into life again, beauty without end. Must all we love turn to ash? Can we not save it? Mercy like a knife. It hunts all of us. God, mortal, beauty. Sleep now. We ponder.